Right, today we're going to talk about a really important part of the golf swing, the transition, and what you do as you start down. Now this is going to be really key for any of you who, release the club early, get that club sort of passing your hands, get that kind of really shallow approach and that really kind of uncomfortable looking impact. And it's all down to what you do in transition. And the key thing is, it's probably going to be different to what you think you should be doing. We're going to do a drill called throw the arrow. I'm going to show you what that drill is, then we're going to do a little demonstration to explain why that will work. So I'm just going to put my golf club down for the moment. I'm going to take an alignment stick, and obviously this alignment stick has got sort of one pointed end. I'm just going to hold it in the middle. And when I get to the top of my backswing, I want to be holding the stick in a way where the sort of pointed end is away from me. Now, the little exercise or the feeling I want you to have in your golf swing is that when you get to the top, you have a pretty good body movement. So that would be some lateral shift towards the target, so you can see my hips moving, some pressure going into that lead side, maybe a little bit of a lowering of the belt line and the head, but really starting to sort of shift into that lead side. But as I'm doing that, I actually want to take this alignment stick and imagine that I'm going to be throwing it out towards the camera that's over there, and with any luck I won't hit the camera, but I'm going to be feeling like I throw this out behind me. So let me show you what that would look like, and I'm going to have a few little rehearsals before I do it. So I'm going to go up to the top, I'm going to have this really nice downswing movement with the body, but as I'm doing that, I'm going to throw the arrow, and I did manage to avoid my camera. Stuck in the ground, which tells me I did it kind of about right. So why is that drill going to be really important? How's it going to help you? Well, to understand that, we need to do a little demonstration down on the ground. So we're doing this demonstration on the floor just because it will be a little bit easier to see kind of what we're talking about. So I'm going to place my glove hand on the club, and I want you to imagine that this is the top of my golf swing. So I've got my left arm, and then we've got this roughly 90-degree angle between the club and my forearm. Now, the weight of the club is obviously down here towards the club head. So if I take this lead hand and I pull my hand down towards me, so in this direction, the club head, the weight of the club head is going to basically try to line up with that direction of travel. So if my hand is traveling in this direction, the weight is trying to get in line with my hand. So the natural forces, when I pull my hand in this direction, means that the club head wants to travel out towards that line of direction. So if we look at the angle formed between the forearm and the club, as I move my hand in this direction, that angle is going to get greater. In other words, the club is already starting to release. Now, if we go to the same position, place my hand on, but this time, if I move my hand in this direction, so along the line of the club, because my hand is traveling in this direction, the weight of the club or the club head end is already in line with that direction of travel. So watch what happens to the angle between my forearm and the club as I do that. Well, this time, if anything, it probably starts to reduce. It gets more acute. So when I push out in the direction of, let's say, the butt end of the club, so in this direction here, when I apply a force in that direction, the club head is not being forced to release. You can see that it's not being forced to kick out. As soon as I pull down this way, straight away you can see how that club head is being forced outward. So what I do from the top of the golf swing, how I move this grip, and obviously when I'm moving the grip it's because my hands are on it applying a force, I can reduce or delay when the club releases, or I can make that happen sooner. Pulling down releases the club sooner. Pushing out delays the release, and that's really important to understand. So hopefully that visual clears it up, and it helps us understand why that might be a movement that's beneficial to us. So the golf club has got some weight to it. This is what we call the balance point, so I can find it by just balancing on my finger. There it is. That's where the centre of mass of the golf club is. As you can see, much closer to the club head end and the grip end. So when I get to the top of my swing, that mass, that weight, wants to basically follow the direction that my hands are travelling in. So if I pull my hands down, trying to pull them in front of the golf ball, what's going to happen is very quickly that centre of mass, the weight of that golf club, is going to try and line up with that direction of travel. So you can see my hands are being pulled in front of the ball, the centre of mass is following that. So very often when I see a golfer, or when I work with a golfer who's got that sort of poor impact, they know that the hands need to be forward. And what they do is from the top, they try and pull the hands in front of the golf ball. That makes it worse. Hopefully that little demonstration showed you that if I try and pull my hands down, the club's going to get kicked out. It's physics, it's force, we can't stop it, which is why if you've ever tried to reduce that flip and you just can't reduce it, that's why, because you're fighting against the natural forces of the golf club. Physics are making that club release early. Doesn't matter how hard you try, it's really difficult to stop that. Now, the movement that we've isolated is that from the top, I'm trying to basically push the grip end of the club out towards the camera. And you can see what that does to the angle between my forearm and the club shaft. It actually makes it more acute, which is kind of what we want. We're trying to reduce that angle. We're trying to almost get to the top and have this, you know, this really nice delayed hit. Now, it's really important that we kind of cover that this is the feel. This is what our ideas will be. We will never ever, from the top of our golf swing, push the hands out towards that camera behind me. Because as I'm trying to do that, you know, my lead shoulder is making a movement which obviously does sort of move the hands in this direction. So we'll never see the hands, you know, pushing away to that camera. But certainly when I get to the top of my golf swing, I do not ever want to feel like I'm pulling the grip down towards the golf ball. It is possibly, bold statement, but it is possibly the worst thing that you can do for your golf game, because 100% that club is going to release early and you're going to hit it fat, you're going to hit it thin, you're going to present a lot of loft, and you're not going to play better golf. What I would love you to do is get to the top of the golf swing, and as we said right at the start, make this really nice body shift. We're not going to cover that too much, but I have done plenty of videos on that where we're putting some pressure into that lead side and we're making a good movement to start down. But as you do that, I actually want you to feel like the butt of the club gets pushed out towards something behind you. In obviously, in my case, it's the camera that's over there. It won't do that because of what the body's doing. But if I show you what that movement would look like, up to the top, push out to the camera, we get this. And this is exactly what we want. The movements that I've made, the body sequence that I had, and the initial movement of my hand, the ideas that I had, helped me maintain this angle. The movements are maintaining that angle. I'm never ever trying to cock my wrists more. All I'm trying to do is from the top, push the grip out away from me, trying to push it out towards the camera. It's a feeling, it's an idea, but as I said, hopefully that little demonstration that we did could be possibly a little bit of a eureka moment for you. It could be a light bulb, it could be a realization that what you've been doing to try and get the hands forward might actually be making it worse. Ultimately, we can take that feeling into a shot. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this, but as I said, I'm just going to try and push the grip out towards that camera behind me. Okay, a little bit out to the right, but it wasn't too bad. And hopefully you can see from that face on angle there that I was able to hold those angles nicely on the way down. That is where we get the ball striking from. That is where we get the compression from. So the little exercise that I want you to do, take an alignment stick, hold it about halfway, make your backswing, make some movements downwards with your body, but throw the arrow. That is the drill. It's going to get you hitting the irons better than you've ever hit them before. Trust me, it works.